Hello, welcome back to Mack Being Me, episode 14. I was going to say 13, but it's not. This is with Jaden Sparrow, and Jaden is an incredible human being, and I've had the privilege of being in a couple of groups with her for the last couple of years. First was the Revive Tribe with David Shanhun, talking all things frequency, vibration, manifestation sort of stuff. And the second group was the Awakening program, where we both went through the Awakening program together, and then I became her coach, played the role of that, and through that really just had some incredible moments of both of us just expressing our truths, whatever we're going through, and completely opening up. That's the space that Jaden is, that she has, the gift that she has, which is just her vulnerability, her truth, and what I would describe is a peppermint essential oil, which is one of the most essential oils that you require in your household if you don't have it already. It helps in all occasions. If you're feeling low energy, put a bit of peppermint oil on. I'm getting a bit sidetracked, but you just put it on your head or you put it in a diffuser and away you go. So that's what she's like. She just lights up the room with her being. And so I felt I would give a little introduction to this beautiful soul, and yeah, allow yourself to find your flow with Jaden Sparrow.
Life is good.
That's awesome, eh? I feel like we
Yeah.
should. I feel like we should start the podcast like through what you've experienced, what you've expressed, and have it. It's like a natural way to start
It's
for me.
real stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
shit, real life shit. Because it's funny. Like, how can you do an intro? What are you going to say? Like, I can actually do an intro as well, just explaining my experience with you and how we first met. And that
Mhm.
for anyone listening, it's I met Jaden through a group that was started by a mutual friend, David Shannon, and that was the Revive Tribe. And that was where we caught up once a week, where we're talking about really just like about self-exploring, like what's happening within our own experience through thoughts, um, vibrations, frequencies, all of these things, and just really becoming more interested in how we start to react to certain things. And yeah, and that was a beautiful experience that we first connected like in 2021. I think it was around July. That's when I joined. Maybe we could start with how did you find your way to New Zealand, Jade, and then we can just go from there wherever we go.
Yes. Yeah. How did I find my way to New Zealand? New Zealand found me, I would say, because I never like dreamed of going there or heard much about it or paid much attention to. I probably couldn't even tell you where New Zealand was on the map. And after I graduated from university, a couple of my close friends, coworkers, kind of planted a seed and told me about it and told me about how easy it is to get a holiday working visa there. And at that time, I was planning on actually going to graduate school to study naturopathy. And yeah, in the States, you have to get your doctorates in it. So it's a lot more schooling, a lot more money. And I was like, let me make sure I'm very committed to this before I dive into that. And let me go do something for myself first. And yeah, I think I kind of found out about the holiday work visa and instantly it sounded so familiar to me that it's like it was already written in my in my life plan. So intuitively it was just like hell yes. And probably within a month or two I had left, like packed up my stuff, and was off to New Zealand. And yeah, that's where well, it's interesting. I always want to say that's where like my journey kind of started, but my journey started when I was conceived.
100%. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of experience would have happened to you through childhood, through growing up, through school and stuff that would have brought you the awareness that where you were to have that, I guess, intuitive knowing of like this is the next step, and New Zealand is calling sort of thing. Um, yeah, that would have been, maybe we even stem it all the way back, Jaden, as back as far as you want to go. Like, Um, what was it like for you growing up? Because you're in Montana, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. Growing up in Montana, and so I'm back in Montana right now. I've been traveling for a while and I'm back visiting. Growing up in Montana was super special because you're very like connected to nature and there's not really any big cities in Montana. So it's very like a lot of farming and cowboy stuff, I guess. Um, everyone asks me, they're like, "Oh, you must love horses and riding," and I'm so allergic to horses. I rarely rode.
I was the
Um,
same as a kid. Hey, I was like allergic to horses too.
so
Yeah.
unfortunate. But grew up raising pigs and going to the rodeos, all of that fun stuff.
Wow.
But in Montana, you really don't see a lot of diversity. Not a lot of people travel. It's kind of there's a very um, definite line, a path that you're kind of expected to follow. So that's how I grew up. I went to this school I went to in that town was like 2,000 people. So yeah, very, and I don't want to say like narrow-minded, but it was just the way of life. And it was, yeah, that way.
Yeah.
So,
It's a small town. Hey, it's not narrow-minded. It's just the reality of what it's like. Okay.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. What's the saying? Small town, small minds, or something like that. But I'm sure it's not the case for everybody.
Yeah.
But I can relate because I grew up in Kalgoorlie, and that was like I call that the wild, wild west of West Australia, and it's like
Okay.
6 hours inland from Perth, and then Perth is like the most isolated capital city in the world over in the west coast of Australia. And yeah, and I grew up, and it was a small gold mining town, and yeah, I think like 30,000 people as well, so not too many people, and yeah, I can see that some people that have still stayed there, even my older brother, he's still there, which is beautiful. He's living his life. But I can see almost exactly what you said, Jaden, is like the pattern has played out. Like you can see the path if you were to
hmm
stay there. But then there's something inside of you that's like screaming at you, like, I don't want this. I don't want to go like this way. Um, so I guess when was that for you? When did you have that feeling inside of yourself when you noticed everything around you was happening? You're like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something different.
I think I've always had that feeling inside of me. I've always felt like not wanting to follow the path. Um, I had like a great group of friends all through high school and college and all that, but I always felt like just like something was out of place and I needed to explore this whole other version of myself that wasn't getting fed. So there's been like some significant moments in my life where it just felt like a absolute hell yes intuitive call. Um, and when I was in, I think my second year of university, this group came in quickly for like the first 5 minutes of class and was like, told us about this volunteer program in Africa. And it was 3 weeks long. And it was just like instant, like, oh, you're doing this. And I, again, never had dreams to go to Africa or anything like that. But it's just like, yes, do that. And going to Africa, that was the first time I was 17 or 18. I would have been 18, maybe even 19. That was the first time I saw the ocean.
Oh,
That was the
wow.
first time I saw poverty. That was the first time I saw all of that. And that completely like turned my world upside down in the most beautiful way. And it showed me how big the world was. And I was like, whoa, there's so much to see and experience. So that was a very significant moment. And even then, after I came home, I still didn't know that I was going to continue to travel more. It's just been when it comes up, I know when I need to go.
Yeah. I love that. Hey, I love that.
Yeah.
Um, how do you feel like you just know when you need to go? Do you feel like it's more than a feeling? It's just something like pulling you?
hmm Yeah, it's so funny. This topic has come up a lot in the last couple of weeks. With so I'm me and two of my very good friends have launched a retreat business, and we've just all been talking about intuition and what that feels like. And the more that I actually talk about it, the more that I learn what it feels like.
Yeah.
Um, And what I said at the beginning of it felt familiar when I've heard certain things or certain opportunities, and it feels like it's never happened in my life, but it feels like it's been written in my path, feels familiar. And it feels safe and expansive and uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
I think when I know it's intuitive, it feels uncomfortable, but like a good little tickle, I guess.
Yeah. I love how it's been coming up for you as well. Hey, like I did a solo podcast out here last week, and that was the first podcast I did for a month because I've been just deep in the feels of going through all these emotions, and I haven't felt like actually sitting down and expressing
Mm,
it. And then all of a sudden I decided to come out here, which is the first time I've been outside. And it's so beautiful just to be outside, just to sit down and relax and have this conversation. And yeah, I found myself actually expressing the same thing as you, Jaden, like intuition and what it meant for me, which is interesting because you're right. The more you talk about it, the more you actually, I guess, hear yourself say it because you're not really expressing it. So you don't really articulate it, put words to it. But yeah, for me, I said something like it is a feeling. It's more than a feeling. It can sometimes be like a word, like this is it, boom. But it's like I expressed it as like a movement. It's like all of a sudden I'm being moved and this is where I need to go. And I think it's just such a beautiful way of being when you start
mm,
to tap into that guidance inside of you and you listen to it more and more. And you're right, because every time it comes up, it's like, oh, it is uncomfortable because it's not coming from the logical mind way of being, isn't it? Like where if, oh yeah, I understand this is what's going to happen, like, but all of a sudden you decide I'm going to go to the other side of the world. I've never been there before. I'm going to leave, all my family behind, all my friends, all my identity of who I think I am, and start up somewhere else for X amount of time. You don't know how long that's going to be either. That would have been
yeah.
such a shock to the mind when you made that decision. Hey.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also came from like wanting to change something about myself and my environment. And so I think the ego kind of attached to like, ooh, this is your way. You want to
Oh
fix this
yeah.
about yourself, make this big jump, and hopefully that'll work, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Hey. And
Yeah.
maybe fast forward to now, Jaden. So you said that you've started your own group with a couple of friends, and you're going to be doing retreats and stuff like that.
Yes. So yeah, we started a retreat and community business. So we're all from different parts of the world, and one's from New Zealand, Caroline, and then our friend Des is from Canada. I'm obviously from America, and we met in New Zealand, and we've stayed in such good touch since we've all left. And community has been my biggest value. Same with both of them. And it's kind of cool how well, there's been lots of planting seeds along the way of how this all came to be. But yeah, all of a sudden, it was kind of we were all talking about and using the same words through voice messages at the same time. And we're like, wait a minute, are we starting a retreat business? And so, yeah, that's kind of how, yeah, it's come to be. And I'm still doing, of course, my find your flow work.
Yeah. Yeah. I jumped ahead a lot. But
That's okay.
I'm interested in that because I'm just sort of starting my own journey of like creating my own program. And
Yeah.
I know we can relate about like actually starting your own program, putting yourself out there to the world, um,
Mm.
and how much of a shift that is for you stepping into your truth and finding out along the way of like just literally falling over, stumbling, and trying to create something to make something happen. Um, but I guess where we could go from that is, yeah, even find your flow. Before then, let's stem it back to when we connected with David Shannon, Revive Tribe, and then from there we ended up in this other group, which was the Awakening program. Maybe maybe we can go back to there, Jaden.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. How did you find yourself going into that program?
So starting with David Shannon, I guess, came across him in a workshop he was leading at a festival. And at the end, he was like, anyone that wants to learn more, just come to the front. There were so many people there. And honestly, I'm not usually someone that's gonna like, if there's a crowd, I'm out. Like I'm on to the next thing, you know?
Yeah.
But again, intuition was like, you're signing up for this, go talk to him. And yeah, that's when our crew came together. And that was the first time really, I went from self-help and self-development to self-discovery, maybe, and learning about energy and the energetics of what make us and law of attraction and all of that. And I was like, yes, this makes so much sense to me. And um, yeah, and then one thing led to the next. And Steve Paps, who David kind of learned under, he started his own program called The Awakening, like Slank said. And that again was just like a very intuitive call, like a message came that's like, you're doing this. And that went, I think he described it as, we're not going a mile wide, we're going a mile deep.
Mm.
And I was like, I feel like I know so much about this. Like how a mile deep. And oh my gosh, I think we went like 100 miles deep.
100%. No. Oh, fuck. I had the same experience as you, Jaden, of like, just like knowing this is it. And for me, it was, I found David Shannon through, it was through COVID when everything shut down.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to say is that's when I started my, I guess, search going inwards, because before then, leading up to that, I was just doing everything, one thing after the other. And I wasn't really, I guess, taking that time to slow down and look at my life and like decide where I want to go. And so it took like a global pandemic for me to stop. And that's when I found David Shannon. I was learning how to loop on the guitar, and I started to search YouTube, and I found his videos on YouTube because he's a musician out of New Zealand. And then I literally just hit him up and said, "Can you be on my podcast? Or would you like to?" I just started it, and then from that had a chat to him, stayed in touch, and then a year later he started this group that you're at that festival, and he started this group of beautiful souls to catch up once a week on Zoom and talk about all those things. I remember at the start it was very much like law of attraction or the energy, frequency, vibration and stuff, which is cool because I was the same. I was really new to it as well. Um, and I remember David just sent us a link to the SoundCloud to that other group that Steve Paps was in, that that was the Inner Circle. And I just remember listening to call after call of that. And I'll be in the workshop with my big Bluetooth headphones on, just taking notes after notes, like, yes, this is it. This is the information that I need. This is what I'm here for. I found the secret. I found the answers. And yeah. And then that was when Steve said that he'd be starting that program, that awakening program that we both jumped on October 2021. It's a little while ago. I feel, yeah. Oh, what are you going to say, Jade?
Oh, I was just agreeing. Like I can't
Yeah,
actually believe that it was that long ago, but yeah.
I know. And remember, we used to have calls every week. Um,
Mm.
yeah, be like, that's all good. Be like, we'd catch up on a workshop, and then we'd have like a focus group call. We'd have like 2 or 3 calls every week, and that was happening for like a year and a half. And what I was going to say is like, I feel like what you touched on community, Jaden, that was a massive part of this self discovery for me, was having that community network of people that are going through that experience together. And we're all watching each other like discover ourselves in our own way and supporting each other through that experience. And I feel like that's so important to have that. Not everyone has that in the world. That supportive community of
Yeah.
like-minded individuals. Yeah. It's it's a blessing, hey?
Yeah, for sure. And just you get so like when you have that community and you feel safe to say whatever, all of a sudden you start hearing your own truths and not just in yourself, but you hear other people be vulnerable and share theirs. And then you're like, we're all just a reflection of one another. So you hear your truth being spoken through someone else. I remember so many times someone would open up and say something, and I was like, wow, like I've never let that come to the forefront of my mind. And like be honest with myself that I do that too, or I experience those feelings and those thoughts as well. And then they were no longer in the dark. I brought light to them, and it's like it's all of those emotions, all of that. It's energy and it carries weight. And each time it was brought to light, you get to see that weight come off of you, and it's not so serious, and life isn't so serious and hard anymore.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's exactly that, eh? And I feel it's like when you're sharing your story, you're sharing your experience, it then exactly that, it can trigger that realization within someone else. And,
Mm,
it might not even be the realization of like, I've experienced that. It might just be like, this is brought to light, this
yep.
feeling, this underlying feeling or emotion that's, that I've suppressed. And now I'm pointing attention to it through just you opening up and being vulnerable and sharing your truth.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
It's powerful.
Yeah. And I guess from there, Jade, and then moving into the awakening program, we were together, going through that for like a year and a half or something. And then where did you start to develop I guess the direction of moving into find your flow, and what is find your flow?
Yeah, so find your flow. So I work as a menstrual cycle coach. So I work with women in understanding our cycle and living in sync with it to heal hormonal imbalances. So once you start talking about this, you really start to realize and see how many women and men in relation are struggling with hormonal imbalances. And I could go on a tangent about that. So
Go for it. Go
I'll
go
pause
wherever
on.
you want. Go wherever you want to go, Jade. And hey,
Well, I'll start what really like makes sense. And to the core of the work that I do, that I found is a lack of connection to our bodies, lack of connection to ourselves, lack of love for ourselves. Because and the way I describe it is any of these cycle signs, any symptoms, whether we're talking about our menstrual cycle, or we're talking about any area of our health, any physical symptom that we're feeling is our body's way of communicating to us that there is an imbalance, and it's our body being like, hey, listen up, or else this is going to get more severe and potentially life threatening. So it's actually, they're beautiful messages. Our body is beautifully talking to us all of the time, but we're often living more externally and chasing things outwards and paying, in this kind of rat race where we tell our body, oh, just wait, like I can't deal with that right now. Or we really start to become numb to our emotions and our physical feelings. And so that was my journey. I think growing up, this, and it all starts like we all have a story that originates from childhood. And
yeah,
growing up in Montana, I wanted to be like the guys. I wanted to make my dad proud. I wanted to hang out, like ride in the trucks with my dad and brother, and um yeah, just fit in with the guys. And I didn't want to do the girl stuff. And I also had just really high expectations for myself. And that then kind of formed into like, well, I'll hop ahead a little bit. Like eventually, so in university, I had a pretty severe, I guess I'd say, eating disorder. And I was like working out 24/7. Like I was so intense, like high intense exercise all the time, chasing this, what I thought ideal body was, even though if I did hit it, that I'd still be chasing something different. And so I never did have a regular menstrual cycle because I was put on birth control so young, which that's a whole tangent in itself. So I never actually did develop connection to my cycle, connection to my body. I was right away always trying to change it. And I think we see from a lot of women in our lives as we're young that they're trying to change their body. And we can't look like that because that's not okay. So we got to make sure we work hard to avoid that. Um, so yeah, I ended up losing so I tried a couple different birth controls, terrible experience. And so I didn't even have my period for over 6 years. And at that time, gosh, I probably never cried. I never, like, I was always just easy. Like I felt quite numb to emotions and to kind of anything around me. And I was super into health and fitness. And so, but I thought if I didn't have a period, that would make me like an athlete because you read
Oh
about
wow.
athletes, yeah, how they lose their period, you know? So I kind of almost wore it for a while as a badge of honor, um, which I think is quite common the more that I've opened up and talked about that and hear women say that as well. And but eventually I started doing my own research, and I even remember my dad making a comment, and I think that was super powerful coming from him about, well, don't you like if you want to have kids someday, you have to have a period. And I think hearing that from my father was like, whoa, you're right. This is actually not healthy. So that I went down rabbit hole after rabbit hole, learning all I could about the female hormone cycle. And it's something that I also studied in college. And then I ended up I found this woman that came to from God to me. Yeah, and she was a menstrual cycle coach, and I started working with her. And yeah, through that, getting my period back regularly and my eyes opening to the beautiful universe that is in our bodies and the workings of our bodies and how our cycle is also really connected to our intuition and our soul and all of that. So I did my training under her to be a cycle coach. And then I also became a yoga teacher, and yoga has been a huge part of my healing journey as well, like huge. Yoga with like the physical slowing down meditation has been absolutely game changer in my journey. And so I was teaching yoga, and it actually came to me in a very like vivid dream about the name of my business and that I was going to run a retreat, and that the exact retreat came to me, all of the workshops, everything, and it felt like a very awakening moment. Yeah.
That's so beautiful, Jaden. There's so much beauty in that. And yeah, when I was actually this morning in the kitchen, I was thinking about Find Your Flow and just like thinking about the name of it. And it's like such a beautiful double meaning, hey. You know,
Mhm.
because obviously for like the analytical flow of like the menstrual cycle, and then
Yeah.
find your flow, find your own way of being in this physical human experience. I feel what a beautiful title for your program, hey.
Yeah, and so it actually was started at like it came to me first with yoga. So flow has to do with yoga flow, your menstrual flow, flow state, like you
Yeah.
said, finding flow within your life, and the water. And I feel super connected to the ocean. So the flow of water and life is all has to do with that.
Yeah, I love this. And wow. And I guess then, so when it comes to you, so you're doing yoga and then doing the awakening program, and then when did you sort of decide to create your own program through Find Your Flow? Was that soon after? I guess you got you found the guru has arrived through God, as it always happens. Hey, in the right moment, whenever you're ready, the student's ready, the teacher
Yeah,
appears. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's something that I don't reflect on enough, but looking back, it is so beautiful how this business and entrepreneurial path I was starting to take along with the awakening. And I know you would definitely relate to this, that starting your own business and, creating and running all of this is probably the most awakening thing that you can do in your life
Yeah.
because it exposes all of our insecurities, all of our weaknesses, all of our strengths as well. But it is a very awakening journey to go on. So I don't ever remember choosing this path, but all of a sudden it was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Again,
yeah,
yeah, just guidance. Hey,
yeah.
the next step just finds you. Yeah. I would say it's up there with it's very much level with having kids,
Oh gosh, true.
building your business. Yeah. It's very, very
Can't
similar, Jaden. Yeah. And then do that at the same time while your wife's building a business too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It's a
That's
full on.
powerful. That's why, and what's so cool is like that's why you're sitting here today talking about this, is because it all came at once.
Yeah. I find that's how it happens. Hey, it always all comes at once, Jaden. It's either it's either not here and you're just like, where is it? Come on. You're
Yeah.
wanting something to happen, and then okay, I'll just relax, yeah. And then all of a sudden it just happens, it flows into your life, hey. Um,
Yeah.
well, I love that actually. Yeah, building a business, and that is it's like what we say, like awaken movement, hey. Like as you
Mhm.
start to put yourself out there, the more and more you find that more about yourself. That's what I found just through sharing myself through social media. And also you find your tribe, hey, like how you found your group of beautiful souls
Yeah.
through putting yourself out there. It's a magnetic effect where they resonate, they're in resonance with your energy, you're aligned, and you just bring these people into your life. Yeah. So maybe we can talk about more about the people that are around you, your real ones, Jaden.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I have so many beautiful sets of friends from different times of my life. Like beautiful high school friends, beautiful college friends, and now I would call them travel friends. My friends that I have met traveling and exploring, and yeah, it's just been unreal. The connections that I've made in New Zealand, and what really started that is, so when I first got to New Zealand, I was working at a bar restaurant in Wanaka, and I was planning on only being there for like 6 to 8 months. 6 months was my goal, and then I started to fall in love with it. So I was like thinking 8 months, and then COVID happened, and that turned into 3 years. But while I was working at that restaurant, I remember hitting a point. It was also during COVID. So right after our lockdown happened is when I left there because I was living very out of alignment. I was drinking a lot, partying a lot, being around, oh my gosh, like not the right people, toxic relationships, things like that. So it was some kind of crazy coincidences, so to say, happened that led me to getting a job volunteering at a retreat center. And that is when I remember going there and actually having the question, like the intention of finding out what spirituality meant to me. I read The Power of the Now or Power of Now during lockdown, and then I was like, I want to find out what this means to me. And then I was in a beautiful community. We all lived up there. Ataha is a beautiful place outside of Queenstown in the middle of the mountains, view of the lake. It's just insanely gorgeous. And I was with a community of people that are exploring that same thing and are into, you know, spirituality and just slowing down and like absorbing and loving life. And so I have some very beautiful connections from that. That's when Caroline also on her own beautiful journey was led to volunteering there. We met and we both went to go do our yoga training in the Northland in New Zealand and met a whole group of just such aligned people. And that's where I would say like my closest friends have come from. And yeah, then kind of again, one thing led to the next, and I started teaching in Mount Maunganui, and yeah, grew a beautiful community there, which I'm still in touch with.
What they say, yeah. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it as you find yourself, then you find your tribe. Hey, it
yeah,
just yeah, and the power. Keep touching on the power of community is it just enables you to fully allow yourself to be however you
mhm,
are, you know, and and the more that you find yourself, the more you find these beautiful souls all around the world that resonate with you, and they're on the same journey. I don't guess I know the journey of life of discovering yourself. Really, that's
yeah,
that's what this dance is, to enjoy it, isn't it? It's not really I've got to do this, do this, do this, and then get to your deathbed. Make sure I do all the things before I die. It's purely more about exploring life, hey, and really enjoying these moments. So I love that, Jaden.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what I've really found super powerful in a retreat setting, and I first got that glimpse working at one, but then also doing my own retreats, is you get a group of people together, even if it's just for one day, but especially over a week long, and you're putting them in different activities. Some people are super comfortable with, some are not at all, and you facilitate communication and connection. And it's insane how vulnerable people will be and how much you learn about yourself and how strong your intuition speaks to you in those settings. And yeah, so I think having those experiences and just seeing people completely transform over a week has given me so much more drive to I feel like my purpose is to create experiences, create community and connection for people in
Yeah.
whatever form
Wow.
it is.
Wow. That's let's go into that, Jaden. Like, how did you find yourself facilitating a retreat? Like, that was in Bali, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Last
so
year?
I did my first one in New Zealand,
Oh,
and
New
that
Zealand.
was like yeah, that was my very first one. It felt like well, I was kind of calling it a trial one, but no, it was like a it turned out to be real, and it was awesome.
It turned
And
out to be real. Yeah.
it turned out to be very real. And that was really cool. And then I've always known that retreats would be an aspect of Find Your Flow.
Hmm.
And Caroline has been on a very similar journey and wanting to run retreats as well. I remember Bali has just always been on my dream list. And it's so funny thinking back of like, how did we end up doing that? Because I don't remember. It just happened.
So, like the
Um,
story of our life, eh?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, anyway, so we ran a retreat together in Bali, and it was so great because half of the guests that came were from Montana that I had crossed paths with at some point in my life. Half of them were from New Zealand who I had also crossed paths with while I was there. So it was such like a collision of my two big loves and like
Wow.
places. I don't know. And that was really powerful. So and I think what was so strong that came out of that first retreat is how close all of the girls got. Like they became the best of friends by the end of the week. And watching that flourish and being able to hold space for that definitely stuck with us. And then it wasn't long after where we were like, okay, well, let's definitely do a lot more of these and let's just start a whole separate business doing this and facilitating this in different parts of the world.
That's such a gift, Jaden. Hey, to have that um, experience, to be able to facilitate those moments, to allow people to bring a community together, to come together for that same purpose of having an experience, whether that's through yoga. Did you have yoga and meditation, and what sort of modalities and things were you facilitating there?
Yeah, for sure. So Caroline specializes in meditation. She's a meditation teacher, and I just brought my specialty in from women's health. So we did yoga every day. We each taught yoga and we meditated twice a day every day. And I taught workshops on women's health and understanding and cyclical living, connecting to our cycle. Caroline taught on meditation and being able to establish a meditation practice, which was really powerful for us. And bringing those two together was really, and we did some other workshops on like feminine, masculine energy and vulnerability and shadow work. And we had a nutritionist come in. We did surf lessons and different things like that. But it was really wonderful to have that meditation aspect and then teach about our bodies, to then sit in our bodies and ask what's going on and to really make that connection, that cord a lot stronger.
Yeah, was that's so beautiful. Were the people that were there, were they all like familiar with meditation and stuff, or was there anyone that's never done it before?
Kind of a mix. Yeah,
Yeah.
a mix for sure. So some it was, yeah, quite new, and others had always wanted more of a regular practice, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. And then segueing into your experience, Jaden, like what is the regular practice? What does the regular day look like for you in terms of your going inwards and spirituality or meditation, whatever it is?
Yeah. Ooh, good question. So I know what I'd like it to be every single
Yeah,
day.
so would I.
And and I kind of ebb and flow with that connection. Meditation is for sure a part of my everyday life, but to um and this is something that I'm still, I guess, experiencing for myself because my high expectation ego mind wants an hour every day,
Yeah.
and all of like these things, but honestly that doesn't work for me right
Yeah.
now in this phase of my life. And what does work really well for me is 20 minutes in the morning, and if I can get a 20-minute afternoon meditation, those ones are absolute game changer for me.
Wow.
No matter what, every single day, starting my day by like tuning in to myself. And then number is that's what I do first. And then I hand it over. I have
Mm.
this tattoo on my ankle that says hand it over.
Yeah.
And I got this from our awakening program to, with everything you can, as much as conscious as you can be, is handing your day over to God,
Mm.
handing any situation over to God, because and my God is the universe,
Mm.
is this higher divine, this power, this energy. And handing it over means I don't need anything to turn out a certain way. And handing it over means how can I want to be the greatest service that I can for the greater good of this world. And so I say a little prayer. I close down my eyes, hands on my forehead, and just whatever you need from me today, I'm here for it. Like it's all you.
Oh,
You can use
wow.
my body, you can use my connections, whatever. Just go for it.
Um, I feel so much love, Jaden, when you're expressing this. Hey, I feel so much love now. I feel like I'm here. And it's exactly that for me as well. Like, do you remember the days I used to be an awakening coach and I used to coach you and I was like, how's your stillness going? Make sure you do an hour a day.
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
like a teacher, hey, telling you off. And sometimes you feel like, oh, I've got
You
to
get
focus,
nervous every
got to
time.
focus group with this slank. He's going to bring up my stillness and meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was like, fuck, because that's where I was. And I thought that was the way, this is what you get told. This guy knows what's going on. I'm going to do this. um, it's not until you actually do it and realize, oh, fuck, like, no, this is not working for me. And then you find your way, like you find
Yeah.
your flow through experiencing all of it, going through it and finding what works for you. So I'm the same. Like for me, it's could be half an hour, it could be 15 minutes in the morning. Um, but I love that handing it over. And that's something I've just brought my awareness back to recently as well, of like having it on my phone, like let go of the day that you have planned and live the life that God has planned for you today, and
Hmm.
bringing that back to my awareness. And yeah, for me, it's God, and there's prayers, there's affirmations, there's breath work in the morning now, which I really love. Starting my day with breath, bringing back to what's here now, what we have, which is breath, and just handing your day over to the divine, to the universe, to God, because it's always these attachments that we have that creates this suffering in our experience. And what if we have an intention? What if we come from a beautiful, pure place of we want to be of service to this physical experience? And how that happens is the most irrelevant part if we just allow ourselves to be guided, like this whole conversation that you've expressed. um I've been in thoughts of like, oh, I keep jumping from Jaden's past to the future to the past. Like, I wish this flowed, but I'm finding my flow within this experience right now, and it's all part of it. Hey,
Yeah.
it's funny to see.
Yeah. And I love that too, because like why follow, the timeline? Why follow that like direct path? There's so much more to be heard or said in the hopping around and going where we're meant to. Yeah. And also I do also want to say that yes, every morning I do, say I hand it over, but there is mornings where or even in the afternoon or whenever I think of it, I'll do it. But there is times where it doesn't feel like I'm handing it over. And
Yeah.
I can, it, it's a physical feeling. And I also just have to be okay with that. And that's just a beautiful thing to see. And I think that's been a beautiful lesson with experiencing like my menstrual cycle as well, is because we go through these four different phases, and that means our energy, our mood, our physical state, like how we're absorbing nutrient, every part of ourselves is changing throughout an entire month. And I can feel that. I can feel when there's a lot more resistance. I can feel when, some things are easier than others, and some days I'm like, fuck meditation, fuck all of this, I don't
Fuck the
care.
world.
Yeah, I am not going to be of service today. I will sit in bed, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's the human experience,
Mm.
is to have the array of emotions and feelings. So
Yeah.
that's been a big lesson for me.
And it's all valid, all of it, you know,
Hmm.
all of it's welcome here. It is that's the human experience. It's to be felt. Feelings are to be felt. It's
Yep.
it's our resistance of what's happening of like, no, this is the way, this is meant to be like this, that's going to create that suffering. Yeah. And it's coming back home to being human, to expressing whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful to just be able to show up and say exactly how you feel, whatever you're going through. And then all of a sudden, like I said earlier, that weight is just like, whew, that felt good to get off the chest. Okay, now we're here.
Yeah. Now we're here. Now we're back in this moment. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's been beautiful, Jaden, to catch up with you.
Yeah, I've missed this.
Yeah. Should make it a thing, make it a regular, hey.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I'm so
oh,
stoked for you as well, like what you're doing. And you can feel, you can't fake energy, you can feel it. And you feel so in the energy, and just very authentic. And yeah, I'm so grateful to have had you in my life for so long.
thank you, Jaden. Thank you. I feel that, hey. I feel that so much. I think what I used to say about you, you're like a peppermint essential oil. Always, always.
Highlighter.
Well, yeah, I'm the yellow
Oh,
highlighter.
wait, no, I called you a highlighter. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Always peppermint essential oil. I used to use that a lot, especially in the awakenings calls when I'm feeling really tired. Put a bit of that on your forehead or smell
Aw.
that in the diffuser.
Yeah, it's
But
powerful.
yeah, it is. And so are you. And that's the energy that you are. Like that's the beauty that you bring to this physical experience that I feel, and no doubt the beautiful ladies who do your program, or the men as well. I think you're going to have the retreats available in the future for both men and women.
Yes, for sure. So, yeah, in the next year, we're gonna definitely plan some both male and female together retreats, which would be really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know when that is. I'm learning to surf now. We had a surf session yesterday, me and Janina, my wife, and baby Maya. So we took Ella to school, Miley to school, and now every Tuesday we've got a date. We're going to go down to Trig Beach in Perth and learn how to surf. So that was the second time I've done that, and I love it. Hey, I said
Yeah.
it's just like life, really, isn't it? Like the waves come, you can't control it, you just go with it. And the first session I had, I was just getting destroyed the whole time I was out there. I couldn't get up once, and like, this is, this is life. Then Janina went out there a second time, and she started to catch wave after wave, and I'm like, oh, she's doing it. That's really cool, but I'd love to do that too. And then she's like, well, before you go, just get back out there, and I did it again, and I started to catch the waves, started to relax, started to find my flow, and
Yeah.
yeah, and start small. Like I start in the very shallows, just learning my ways. But that's life, isn't it? You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Like there's lots of lessons within surfing for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And do you know what is calling my heart next is Australia. So
Wow.
it's meeting real life.
Oh, let's do it. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me know. Let me know whenever you're guided there. I'll
Yeah,
be there.
I
I'll be
will.
there, Jaden. Thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Pleasure. We'll see you. Oh, is there any closing words you want to talk about, like with your retreat or find your flow or anything like that? Where can we find you?
Ah, yes. So, yeah, so Worlds Together is the retreat business, and we just launched our Bali retreat a couple days
Wow.
ago. So that's going to be in March 18th through the 24th of 2024. So we're very excited to go back where this was kind of inspired and yeah, create another retreat there. And then, so that's with Worlds Together. And then my Find Your Flow, I am soon to be launching a online course. And also right now I love working one-on-one with women. So that's what I'm doing over there. And then I have well, yeah, you can maybe link the
Yeah, I'll put it in the show
because
notes
I
in the
can't even
description.
really exactly remember. But yeah, that's where you can find
Hopefully,
me.
find you on Instagram. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, beautiful,
Yeah.
Jade. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy your day. It's morning time for you.
Yeah, it is. Sun's out. This is winter in Australia, Jaden.
Nice. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I can't wait to be over there.
Look at this. I'll show you the blue sky. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
All right.
my heart's pulling me there.
I'll see you there. I'll see you in Australia. I'll see you surfing.
Yes, that sounds great.
Beautiful. All right. Much love, Jaden. Have a beautiful rest of your day or night.
Much love. Yes, thank you, Slink.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.
Yo, Jade.
Ooh. Oh, this is so good. I feel like